Tyler stared at his phone screen, reading the same text message for the 10th time. "We need to talk. This can't continue." His hands shook slightly as he set the phone down, knowing that everything he had built over the past year was about to crumble. How had it come to this? How had the three people who meant everything to each other ended up so broken that they could barely be in the same room? Flashback begins. 1 year earlier appears on screen. The sound of sneakers squeaking against concrete filled the afternoon air as Jake dribbled the basketball with practiced ease. At 22, he moved with the confidence of someone who had always been the responsible older brother. 2 years younger, Tyler matched his energy shot for shot, their competitive banter echoing through the neighborhood. "Come on, old man, is that all you got?" Tyler grinned, stealing the ball with lightning-fast reflexes. Jake laughed, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Old man? I'll show you, old man." Back then, everything seemed perfect. Their friendship had always been legendary among their friends. While most siblings fought constantly, Jake and Tyler were different. They shared everything: clothes, friends, dreams, and even their deepest secrets. Their parents often joked that they were more like best friends who happened to share DNA. But perfection, Tyler would soon learn, was just an illusion waiting to be shattered. The back door slammed shut and Emma appeared on the porch, her long brown hair catching the sunlight. She had been Jake's best friend since middle school, practically a third sibling in the household. At 21, she was studying psychology at the local college, always analyzing everyone's behavior with a knowing smile. "You two are going to wake up the entire neighborhood," she called out, settling into the porch swing with a book in her hands. Little did any of them know that this ordinary afternoon would be one of the last times they would all be truly happy together. Because sometimes the most devastating storms begin on the clearest days. "Emma, perfect timing." Tyler jogged over, basketball tucked under his arm. "Tell Jake that I just destroyed him in a fair game." "Fair?" Jake protested, following behind. "You practically tackled me." Emma rolled her eyes playfully. "You're both terrible at basketball. I've seen middle schoolers with better form." The three of them had spent countless afternoons like this. Emma had been there through Jake's high school graduation, Tyler's first heartbreak, family vacations, and late-night movie marathons. She knew their family dynamics better than anyone, how Jake always felt responsible for Tyler's well-being, and how Tyler sometimes struggled with commitment in relationships. But what Emma didn't know yet was that her heart was about to betray her in the most complicated way possible. "So what's the plan for tonight?" Emma asked, closing her book. "Movie night, obviously," Tyler said, plopping down on the porch steps. "It's Friday and I don't have any plans." Jake raised an eyebrow. "What happened to that girl you were seeing? Sarah?" Tyler's expression shifted slightly, a shadow crossing his face. "We broke up last week." "Again?" Jake's voice carried a hint of frustration. "Tyler, that's the third girl this year. It just wasn't working out." Tyler shrugged. But Emma noticed how he avoided eye contact. This was the pattern that would soon become the center of everything that went wrong. Jake had watched his younger brother hurt several nice girls, and it bothered him more each time. What Jake didn't realize was that Tyler's inability to commit wasn't about being careless with hearts. It was about not finding the right person to commit to. Emma found herself studying Tyler's profile as he stared off into the distance. When had he gotten so mature-looking? When had his laugh started making her heart skip a beat? She quickly pushed the thought away, focusing back on her book. But some thoughts, once planted, grow whether we want them to or not. "Well, more popcorn for us then," she said lightly, trying to break the tension. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the three friends settled into their usual routine. But something felt different this evening. Emma kept stealing glances at Tyler when she thought no one was looking, and Tyler seemed more aware of her presence than usual. Jake, ever the observant older brother, noticed the subtle changes but couldn't quite put his finger on what was happening. All he knew was that something in their perfect trio was beginning to shift, and change had never been his strong suit. The evening ended with promises of weekend plans and inside jokes, but as Emma walked home, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to become much more complicated. Scene fades back to present day, Tyler still sitting alone looking at his phone, and she had been right. Everything had become complicated. More complicated than any of them could have imagined. But this story isn't just about how things fell apart. It's about whether love is strong enough to put them back together again. Emma's hands trembled as she applied lip gloss for the third time, her reflection in the mirror showing someone she barely recognized. The confident psychology student had been replaced by a nervous wreck who couldn't even decide what to wear to hang out with people she'd known for years. But everything had changed 3 weeks ago, and she couldn't pretend otherwise anymore. Her phone buzzed. Movie marathon starts in 20 minutes. Tyler's making his famous nachos. The mention of Tyler's name sent her heart racing in a way that terrified her. This wasn't supposed to happen. Best friends weren't supposed to fall for their best friend's little brother. There were unspoken rules about these things, invisible lines that shouldn't be crossed. Yet here she was, crossing every single one. When she arrived at their house, she found Tyler in the kitchen, carefully arranging chips on a baking sheet with the concentration of a master chef. The sight of him doing something so ordinary made her chest tighten with an emotion she wasn't ready to name. "Need any help?" she offered, her voice sounding strange to her own ears. Tyler looked up, and for a moment, their eyes met in a way that felt different from their usual casual interactions. Something electric passed between them, something that made Emma's breath catch. "Actually, yeah. Can you grab the cheese from the fridge?" As Emma reached for the cheese, Tyler moved to get the salsa from the same shelf. They found themselves standing much closer than necessary, close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with the scent of the kitchen, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "Emma, Tyler started, his voice softer than usual. The air between them crackled with unspoken possibilities. Emma felt like she was standing on the edge of a cliff, knowing that one more step would change everything forever. "Where are those nachos?" Jake's voice boomed from the living room, shattering the moment like glass. "The movie's about to start." They jumped apart, both breathing harder than they should have been from such a simple interaction. Emma's cheeks burned with embarrassment and something else, disappointment that the moment had been interrupted. During the movie, Emma found herself hyper-aware of every sound Tyler made, every shift of his body on the couch beside her. When he laughed at a funny scene, she felt the vibration through the cushions. When he made comments about the plot, his voice seemed to wrap around her like a warm blanket. Jake, completely absorbed in the action movie, missed the meaningful glances between his best friend and his brother. He missed the way Tyler's hand lingered when he passed Emma the popcorn, and how Emma's face flushed whenever Tyler spoke directly to her. After the movie ended, Jake stretched and yawned. "I'm beat. Early shift tomorrow," he announced, heading upstairs. Emma knew she should leave too, but when Tyler offered to walk her home, she found herself agreeing despite living only 2 blocks away. The night air was cool, and they walked slowly, neither wanting the evening to end. "Emma," Tyler said suddenly, stopping under a streetlight. "Can I ask you something?" Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Of course. Do you think Jake's right about me? About the way I handle relationships?" The question caught her off guard. She had expected something else, something more personal. But as she looked at Tyler's face in the lamplight, she saw genuine vulnerability there. "I think you're still figuring things out," she said honestly. "And that's okay. Not everyone finds their path at the same speed." Tyler nodded, looking relieved. "Sometimes I feel like Jake expects me to have everything figured out just because he always has." "Jake loves you," Emma said. "He just worries because he cares." "What about you?" Tyler asked, stepping closer. "Do you worry about me too?" The question hung in the air between them, loaded with possibility and danger. Emma felt like she was standing at that cliff edge again, and this time Tyler was asking her to jump. "Yes," she whispered. "I do." Tyler's smile wasn't his usual playful grin, but something softer, more vulnerable. "Good," he said simply. As they continued walking, Emma realized that she had just crossed a line she could never uncross. Whatever happened next, there was no going back to the way things were. But as she looked at Tyler's profile in the moonlight, she found that she didn't want to go back. For the first time in her life, she wanted to see what lay on the other side of that cliff. She had no idea that Jake was about to try everything in his power to pull her back to safety. Jake stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, his coffee mug slipping from his fingers and shattering on the floor. Through the window, he could see Tyler and Emma in the backyard, but they weren't just talking. Tyler's hand was gently tucking a strand of hair behind Emma's ear, and the look in both their eyes was unmistakable. This wasn't friendship. This was something much more dangerous. The coffee spread across the floor like spilled blood, but Jake couldn't move. His worst nightmare was unfolding right in front of him, and he felt powerless to stop it. For the past month, he had noticed changes. Emma spending more time with Tyler, their whispered conversations, the way they looked at each other when they thought no one was watching. But seeing it confirmed felt like a punch to the gut. Jake's mind raced with all the ways this could destroy everything. Tyler's track record with relationships was a graveyard of broken hearts and good intentions gone wrong. Sarah, Jessica, Amanda, all sweet girls who had believed Tyler was ready for something real, only to be disappointed when he inevitably pulled away. But Emma wasn't just another girl. Emma was family. Emma was the person who had been there through everything, who knew all their secrets, who had helped Jake through his darkest moments. Losing her wouldn't just hurt Tyler, it would destroy their entire family dynamic. Jake cleaned up the broken mug with shaking hands, his anger building with each piece of ceramic he picked up. By the time Tyler came inside, Jake was ready for war. "We need to talk," Jake said, his voice deadly calm. Tyler looked surprised but followed Jake upstairs to his room. The moment the door closed, Jake's composure cracked. "What the hell do you think you're doing with Emma?" Tyler's face went pale. "Jake, I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you're planning to add my best friend to your list of casualties. How you're going to break her heart just like you broke Sarah's and Jessica's and Amanda's." "It's not like that," Tyler protested. "Emma's different." "Different how?" Jake's voice rose. "Different enough that you won't get scared when things get serious. Different enough that you won't find some excuse to run away when she wants more than you're willing to give." Tyler's jaw clenched. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" Jake laughed bitterly. "Tyler, you've never had a relationship last longer than 3 months. You panic the moment someone wants to get close to you. And now you think you're ready for Emma? Emma, who deserves someone who won't break her heart?" "Maybe I've changed," Tyler said quietly. "People don't change overnight," Jake shot back. "And I'm not going to let you practice your commitment issues on the most important person in my life." The words hit Tyler like physical blows. His own brother, the person who was supposed to believe in him more than anyone, thought he was incapable of real love. "So that's what you think of me?" Tyler asked, his voice breaking slightly. "You think I'm some kind of heartbreaker who can't be trusted? I think you're 20 years old and you don't know what you want," Jake said harshly. "I think Emma deserves better than being your next experiment." Tyler stared at his brother, feeling something fundamental break between them. "You know what, Jake? Maybe it's time I stopped asking for your approval for everything I do." "This isn't about approval," Jake exploded. "This is about protecting someone I care about from getting hurt by someone who has a proven track record of hurting people." "What if you're wrong?" Tyler asked desperately. "What if I really do care about her? What if this is different?" Jake's expression hardened. "Then prove it. But I'm not going to stand by and watch you destroy the best thing in our lives because you think you're ready to play house." Tyler felt tears burning behind his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. "I can't believe you have so little faith in me." "Faith?" Jake laughed coldly. "Faith is earned, Tyler, and your track record speaks for itself." The silence that followed was deafening. Tyler looked at his brother, his best friend, his hero, the person whose opinion mattered more than anyone else's, and saw only disappointment and distrust. "Fine," Tyler said quietly. "If that's how you really feel about me, then maybe we don't have anything else to talk about." He walked toward the door, pausing with his hand on the handle. "For what it's worth, Emma makes me want to be better. She makes me want to try harder, but apparently that doesn't matter to you." The door slammed shut, leaving Jake alone with the echo of his harsh words and the sinking realization that he might have just destroyed the most important relationship in his life. But Jake's pride wouldn't let him back down. He convinced himself that he was protecting Emma, that time would prove him right, that Tyler would show his true colors eventually. He had no idea how wrong he was about to be. Emma's phone rang at 2 a.m., jolting her awake. Tyler's name flashed on the screen, and her heart immediately started racing. Late-night calls never brought good news. "Tyler, what's wrong?" "He knows." Tyler's voice was raw, like he'd been crying. "Jake knows about us. And Emma, it's bad. Really bad." Emma sat up in bed, fully awake now. "What happened?" "He said I'm going to hurt you. He said I'm not capable of real commitment. He basically told me I'm not good enough for you, and that I'm going to destroy our family." Emma felt anger surge through her chest. "He said what?" "Maybe he's right," Tyler continued, his voice breaking. "Maybe I am just going to hurt you. Maybe I should stay away before I ruin everything." "Tyler, stop," Emma said firmly. "Don't you dare let his fear make you doubt yourself. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street in 20 minutes. When Emma arrived at the 24-hour diner, she found Tyler sitting in a corner booth, looking like his world had collapsed. His eyes were red-rimmed, and his usual confident posture had been replaced by something broken and defeated. "Tell me everything," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. Tyler recounted the fight in painful detail, And with each harsh word Jake had spoken, Emma's anger grew. How dare Jake make decisions about her life? How dare he judge Tyler based on past relationships that had nothing to do with what they had now? He thinks I'm going to hurt you like I hurt the others, Tyler finished. And maybe he's right. Maybe I don't know how to be in a real relationship. Emma reached across the table and took his hands. Tyler, look at me. When he finally met her eyes, she saw the scared 20-year-old boy beneath the hurt, the one who had always lived in his perfect older brother's shadow. Do you want to hurt me? She asked. Never, Tyler said immediately. Emma, you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Then that's all that matters, she said firmly. Tyler, I've watched you with your past girlfriends. The reason those relationships didn't work wasn't because you're a heartbreaker. It's because you were trying to force feelings that weren't there. Tyler looked confused. What do you mean? You broke up with Sarah because you couldn't see a future with her, not because you were scared of commitment. You ended things with Jessica because you realized you weren't compatible, not because you were afraid of getting close. You've never been afraid of love, Tyler. You've been waiting for the right person to love. Tears filled Tyler's eyes. You really believe that? I know that, Emma said, because I see how you look at me. I see how you remember the little things that matter to me. I see how you've been different these past few weeks. More focused, more intentional, more present. Jake doesn't see it that way. Emma's jaw tightened. Jake is scared of losing me, so he's trying to control the situation, but he doesn't get to decide who I love or who loves me back. The word hung in the air between them. Love. Neither of them had said it before, but there it was, finally spoken. Emma, Tyler whispered. I love you, she said, her voice steady and sure. I love you, and I'm not going to let Jake's fear destroy what we have. Tyler's face crumpled with relief and joy. I love you too. God, Emma, I love you so much it scares me. Good. She smiled through her own tears. It should scare you. Love is terrifying, but it's also worth fighting for. They sat in that diner until sunrise, making plans and promises, building a foundation strong enough to weather the storm they knew was coming. Meanwhile, across town, Jake lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying the fight with Tyler over and over. Part of him wondered if he had been too harsh, if his fear had made him say things he didn't really mean. But his pride wouldn't let him back down. He convinced himself that he was protecting Emma, that Tyler would eventually prove him right, that time would show Emma who Tyler really was. Jake had no idea that time was about to prove exactly the opposite. The next morning, Emma showed up at Jake's door with fire in her eyes and determination in her voice. We need to talk, she said, pushing past him into the house. Emma, if this is about Tyler, this is about you thinking you have the right to make decisions about my life, she interrupted. This is about you judging someone you claim to love based on fear instead of facts. Jake stared at his best friend, seeing a strength in her that he had never noticed before. Emma wasn't the little girl who needed his protection anymore. She was a woman who knew her own mind and heart, but admitting that would mean admitting he was wrong, and Jake wasn't ready for that conversation yet. The battle lines had been drawn, and the war for their family was about to begin. The graduation party should have been perfect. Tyler had just finished his degree with honors, Emma had landed her dream internship, and their parents had planned a backyard celebration to honor both achievements. Instead, the tension was so thick it felt like everyone was walking through quicksand. Jake stood by the grill, mechanically flipping burgers while stealing glances at Tyler and Emma, who sat together on the porch swing. 6 months of Cold War had changed everyone. Tyler looked older, more serious, but also more confident. Emma glowed with happiness, her hand intertwined with Tyler's as they talked quietly. And Jake looked miserable. Honey, you're burning the food again, their mother Linda said gently, placing a concerned hand on his shoulder. Jake looked down at the charred meat, realizing he had been so focused on his anger that he was ruining dinner. Again. Sorry, Mom, he muttered, scraping the burnt burgers into the trash. Linda studied her eldest son's face, seeing the pain he was trying so hard to hide. Jake, this has to stop. You're tearing this family apart. I'm not the one who chose a girlfriend over family, Jake replied bitterly. Tyler didn't choose Emma over family, Linda said firmly. He chose love, and you're the one making it a choice at all. Before Jake could respond, their father David approached with a forced smile. How about we get some family photos before the sun sets? The next 20 minutes were torture. Jake stood stiffly beside Tyler for photos, both of them smiling for their parents, while radiating hostility. Emma tried to stay out of the family shots, but Linda insisted she be included. "Your family too, sweetheart," Linda said, pulling Emma into the group. Jake's jaw clenched as Emma positioned herself next to Tyler, their happiness a stark contrast to his misery. In every photo, Tyler's arm was protectively around Emma, and she looked up at him with such obvious love that it made Jake's chest ache. But it wasn't just their happiness that bothered Jake anymore. It was how wrong he was starting to realize he had been. Over the past 6 months, Jake had watched Tyler transform. Gone was the flighty 20-year-old who couldn't commit to a weekend plan, let alone a relationship. In his place was a man who remembered Emma's schedule better than his own, who supported her through stressful exams, who talked about their future together with a certainty that Jake had never seen in him before. Tyler had kept every promise he made to Emma. He had been patient when she was stressed, understanding when she needed space to study, and supportive when she doubted herself. He had even started seeing a counselor to work through his commitment issues, something he had never done for any previous girlfriend. But Jake's pride wouldn't let him admit he had been wrong. After dinner, as the family cleaned up, Tyler approached Jake at the sink. "This has to stop," Tyler said quietly. "Mom's crying herself to sleep because her sons won't speak to each other. Dad's pretending everything is fine, but I can see how much this is hurting him." Jake continued washing dishes without looking up. "Then maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to date my best friend." "I fell in love with her," Tyler said simply. "I didn't plan it, I didn't want to complicate things, but it happened, and Jake, she loves me too. For now," Jake said coldly. Tyler felt like he had been slapped. After 6 months of proving himself, after changing everything about how he approached relationships, Jake still didn't believe in him. "You know what?" Tyler said, his voice deadly calm. "I used to think your opinion mattered more than anyone else's. I used to need your approval for everything. But I've learned something these past 6 months." Jake finally looked at his brother. "I've learned that the only opinion that matters is Emma's. And she believes in me. She sees who I really am, not who I used to be. She trusts me with her heart, and I'm never going to break that trust." Tyler dried his hands and turned to leave, then paused. "I'm sorry you can't see how much I've grown. I'm sorry you can't trust me to love her the way she deserves. But mostly, I'm sorry that your fear is more important to you than my happiness." As Tyler walked away, Jake felt something crack inside his chest. For the first time in months, he wondered if he was the one destroying their family. Not Tyler. But pride is a powerful drug, and Jake wasn't ready to admit he was wrong. Not yet. That night, Emma found Tyler sitting on their apartment balcony staring at the stars. "Rough day?" she asked, settling beside him. "He's never going to forgive me," Tyler said. "I could be the perfect boyfriend for the next 10 years, and he'd still think I'm going to hurt you." Emma took his hand. "Then we'll prove him wrong for 10 years. And if that's not enough, we'll prove him wrong for 20. Tyler looked at her. This incredible woman who had chosen to love him despite everything. "You really think we'll make it that long?" Emma smiled, pulling a small velvet box from her pocket. "I was hoping we'd make it even longer than that." Tyler's eyes widened as Emma opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful engagement ring. "Emma, what?" "Tyler Morrison," she said, her voice shaking with emotion. "Will you marry me?" Tyler stared at her in shock, then threw back his head and laughed with pure joy. "Are you seriously proposing to me?" "Someone had to," Emma grinned. "You were taking too long." "Yes," Tyler said, pulling her into his arms. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." As they kissed under the starlight, neither of them noticed Jake standing in the yard below, having come to apologize. He watched his brother and his best friend get engaged, and for the first time in months he saw them clearly. They weren't two kids playing at love. They were two people who had found something real, something worth fighting for, something that had made them both better versions of themselves. And Jake realized he had been fighting the wrong battle all along. Jake stood in front of the mirror in the church dressing room, adjusting his tie for the 10th time. As Tyler's best man, he should have been excited, proud, ready to celebrate his brother's happiness. Instead, he felt like he was drowning in regret. The past year had been the longest of his life. Tyler and Emma had gotten married in a small ceremony with just immediate family, and Jake had been invited but not included. He had watched from the sidelines as his brother became a husband, as Emma became his sister-in-law, as they built a life together that didn't include him. He had been too proud to apologize, too stubborn to admit he was wrong, and now he was paying the price. A knock on the door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called. Tyler entered, looking handsome in his black tuxedo but nervous as hell. "Hey," he said simply. "Hey." Jake replied. You look good. Ready for this? Terrified, Tyler admitted with a shaky laugh, but ready. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Two brothers who used to share everything now struggling to find words. Tyler, Jake started, then stopped. How do you apologize for a year of stubbornness? How do you take back words that cut so deep they left scars? I know, Tyler said quietly. I know what you want to say. Do you? Jake asked. Tyler nodded. You want to apologize. You want to tell me you were wrong about Emma and me. You want to say you're proud of how I've grown up. Jake's throat tightened. Am I that obvious? You're my brother, Tyler said simply. I know you better than anyone. And Jake, I forgive you. The words hit Jake like a physical blow. He had expected anger, resentment, maybe even hatred. He hadn't expected forgiveness. Tyler, You were scared, Tyler interrupted. You were scared of losing Emma, scared of our family changing, scared that I would hurt the person you care about most. I get it. Jake felt tears burning behind his eyes. But I was wrong. About everything. Yeah, Tyler said with a small smile. You were. You didn't just prove me wrong, Jake continued, his voice breaking. You became everything I hoped you could be and more. You became the kind of man who deserves someone like Emma. Tyler's own eyes filled with tears. I became the kind of man she believed I could be. I should have believed in you too, Jake whispered. I should have trusted you. I should have been happy for you instead of trying to tear you down. Jake, Tyler said, stepping closer. I need you to know something. Emma and we're stronger because of what we went through, fighting for our relationship, proving ourselves to everyone, including each other. It made us sure. It made us unbreakable. Jake nodded, understanding. You don't need my approval anymore. No, Tyler agreed. But I want it. I want my big brother back. I want my best friend back. That broke the last of Jake's resistance. He pulled Tyler into a fierce hug, both of them crying now. I'm so sorry, Jake sobbed. I'm so sorry I wasted a year being an idiot. I'm so sorry I almost missed this. You didn't miss it, Tyler said, holding his brother tight. You're here now. That's what matters. When they finally pulled apart, both wiping their eyes, Tyler grinned. So ready to be my best man for real this time? Jake laughed through his tears. I've been ready for a year. I was just too stupid to admit it. An hour later, Jake stood at the altar watching Tyler and Emma renew their vows in front of their friends and family. They had already been married for a year, but they wanted to celebrate properly, with everyone they loved present. As Emma walked down the aisle in her simple white dress, Jake saw what he had been too blind to see before. She wasn't just beautiful. She was radiant with love for Tyler. And when Tyler saw her, his face lit up like the sun. During the ceremony, Jake listened to their vows with new ears. Tyler, Emma said, her voice clear and strong, you taught me that love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone perfect for you. You've shown me what it means to grow together, to choose each other every day, to build something beautiful from the ground up. Emma, Tyler replied, his voice thick with emotion. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You saw who I could become before I even knew that person existed. You made me want to be worthy of your love, and I promised to spend every day of my life trying to deserve the gift of being your husband. There wasn't a dry eye in the house. After the ceremony, during the reception, Jake found himself sitting with Tyler and Emma, the three of them together for the first time in over a year. So, Emma said, raising her champagne glass, what should we toast to? Second chances, Jake said immediately. Family, Tyler added. Love that's strong enough to survive anything, Emma finished. They clinked glasses, and Jake felt something settle in his chest that had been broken for too long. His family was whole again. You know, Jake said, grinning at Tyler, I have some ideas for your one-year anniversary party. Tyler groaned. Please tell me you're not planning anything embarrassing. Oh, I'm definitely planning something embarrassing, Jake laughed. That's what big brothers are for. Emma giggled. It's so good to have you back, Jake. We missed you. I missed you too, Jake said sincerely. Both of you. And I promise, I'm never letting pride get in the way of family again. As the evening wound down, Jake watched Tyler and Emma dance to their wedding song, lost in each other's eyes. They had built something beautiful together, something that had survived doubt and opposition and time. Tyler had proven that people can change, that love can inspire growth, that sometimes the biggest risks lead to the greatest rewards. Emma had proven that believing in someone can help them become their best self. And Jake had learned that trust means having faith in the people you love, even when you're scared. The story that had begun with a perfect trio fractured into painful pieces and then rebuilt itself into something even stronger, had finally found its happy ending. And as Jake watched his brother spin his wife around the dance floor, both of them laughing with pure joy, he knew that some love stories are worth fighting for, even when the fight seems impossible to win. Final scene, the three of them sitting on the same porch where it all began. But now Tyler and Emma wear wedding rings, and Jake looks at peace. "So," Jake said, settling into his old spot on the porch steps, "what's next for you two?" Tyler and Emma exchanged a meaningful look. "Well," Emma said, her hand moving to her still flat stomach, "we were hoping you'd want to be an uncle." Jake's eyes widened, then filled with tears of joy. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious." Tyler grinned. "Uncle Jake has a nice ring to it, don't you think?" Jake jumped up and pulled them both into a hug, laughing and crying at the same time. "I can't believe it. I'm going to be an uncle." As they sat together watching the sunset, Jake realized that this was what family really meant. Not perfection, but forgiveness. Not avoiding mistakes, but learning from them. Not giving up when things get hard, but fighting for the people you love. The fight that had changed everything between brothers had ultimately made them stronger, brought them closer, and taught them that love, in all its forms, is always worth the battle. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more travel content. Hit that like button, and share your own first flight experience in the comments below. Thanks for watching until the end.